Yo, what's going on, YouTube? It is Labor Day, Monday, December 6th, 2021, and we are officially into week one content. Super exciting. Talk about stuff instead of best ball. My best ball's pretty much done. Season's done drafting. I got like two puppy drafts left to do, and I'll be done for the year. So, moving on for that, looking on to the weekly picks. We're talking DraftKings today. Really just looking at the slate in general, kind of getting a first look about what games we can stack, what we can do. We're gonna go through the entire slate Thursday through Monday, so that will include games not in the main slate, but I think they're worth mentioning as I like to play the showdown contest. So we'll bring them up and just kind of get a nice read on the week. So we're gonna start off on the top up here with the Thursday night game. I have the showdown contest up, but this game, obviously, if you should play the full week slate. This game's available. A lot of times I just kind of fade the Thursday night game. Those are the weeks I'd be interested in playing the full slate, full week contest. But this is going to be a game that if you're playing the full 16 game slate, you want some exposure to. We have a 52 point total. Buccaneers are favored by 8 now. That's gone up from like 6.5 when this line got released, up to 8 already. So that's a pretty big favorite for Buccaneers, which I think makes sense. They won Super Bowl, probably the better team. They're at home. All adds up. A 52 point total is pretty big. It's one of the biggest on the slate. Dallas, both teams are pretty much running back the same team. Dallas has Dak Prescott back, so they're just theoretically better than they were last year. I think the big thing to note there is that Dallas' defense wasn't very good last year. So they should have pretty much the same things going here. We're looking at some of the players quick. Obviously, the quarterback's at the top of a showdown slate, but when you start digging deep, like there's a lot of players that are in play here. I think if you're playing the full week slate, you have to be thinking about every pass catcher pretty much. So Buccaneers, you're thinking Brady, you're thinking Godwin, Evans, Antonio Brown, Scotty Miller maybe. So that's all in play. Even the tight ends, OJ Howard, seemed like he was getting some work with the first team. Gronk, of course, and the same goes for the Cowboys. They're gonna be playing from behind for the most part, if this game script is correct. So you got to think about everybody: Dak, Zeke, Godwin, not Godwin, Cooper, Lamb, Gallup. I have no idea what their tight end situation is going to be. I think they're going to run a mix of Schultz and Blake Jarwin out there. Sounds like Jarwin's ready to go after his injury last year. So, running backs for Tampa Bay, same as every year. We have no idea. Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette. I don't think Gio Bernard's going to be good to go for week 1 too, so he's going to get a lot of the pass catching work. That's actually huge on DraftKings. I'm gonna look. It's gonna be like a Thursday night decision where I'll have a video for Thursday night as well. So make sure to subscribe. Probably come out Wednesday night or Thursday before lock. We'll do like a little live thing. We'll be looking at injury news and stuff like that. But if Gio Bernard is available to go at 3K or 22,000 in the flex on a showdown slate, he just needs to get a couple dump off passes and he pays that off. So that's definitely in play. So not gonna spend too much time on the Thursday game. I think it's said enough. Buccaneers are expected to win, but Cowboys should be playing from behind. So one of the biggest totals on the slate. I think fading this game entirely if you're doing the whole slate is a mistake. And when it comes to showdown slate, I think you gotta go for the skill positions. I don't think this is a kicker defense slate for a showdown slate, but we'll talk more on that in a showdown specific video later this week. So let's jump over to the main slate now. And we'll start with Philly, Atlanta. So let me grab the over-under for this game. All my odds right now are coming from DraftKings Sportsbook. All right, so we have a 48.5 point total, 3.5 point favorite for Atlanta. Atlanta's home team. I would expect both these teams are pretty bad this year. They weren't great last year, and as you can see, these are stats from last year. These teams finished pretty low in both sides of the ball passing. I think 48.5 might be a little low for this total. Both these defenses are pretty bad. Pulling up the information I have right now. Atlanta finished as the worst passing defense in the league last year, 32. And Philly finished 23rd rush defense and 15th pass defense. So at 48.5 in a close game, I could easily see this turning into a bit of a shootout and going well over that. Jalen Hurts, of course, is a great player. I think Matt Ryan's probably going to go under-owned, would be my guess in the main slate. There's going to be a ton of value plays. So I think they're going to get up to Mahomes. They're going to get up to the big players. Or they're going to completely punt it off with like Mac Jones way at the bottom, who when the slate came out, we didn't think was starting. So his price is very low. My initial guess, and I will know later when we get like some ownership projections, but my guess is this game is going to go very under-owned. We're in a dome. 2 bad defenses. I would say 2 pretty good offenses. It depends how you believe in like Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley can make up for Julio Jones being gone. So for the Eagles, you can go Jalen Hurts and you can go like Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith's going to be probably super high owned at only 4,500 against last year's worst pass defense. Devonta Smith seems like he's going to be the number one target there. So this will be a game I'll definitely be looking at more as the week goes on. Philly, Atlanta, pretty high total, pretty close game, pretty bad defenses. So that is definitely in play. All right, moving on. Jacksonville, Houston. I'll talk about 2 more bad teams. Jacksonville definitely improved from last year. There's no doubt they're improved. Trevor Lawrence is a huge upgraded quarterback. Over under 44.5 only and a 3-point spread. I think 3 points for Jacksonville. So I think that shows a lot to what the sportsbooks are thinking of Houston this year. They're a 3-point underdog at home against a team that was the worst team in the league last year. So pull up the quarterback quick. Trevor Lawrence is in play here. John Watson obviously not playing. Tyrod Taylor's named the starter today. So Tyrod at 5,300. I don't think I can stomach playing anybody from Houston. But if I was going to do it, you could do it against the Jaguars maybe. Again, this is a pretty low total though. I think we see a pretty quiet game from everybody. We get a rookie quarterback. I wouldn't be opposed to going Texans defense at 2,100. Have him pick on Trevor Lawrence for his first time out. That seems like a possibility there. If you're going to punt defense off, pick on the rookie quarterback in his first start. Not too much to talk about here. This is not a game I'm going to be targeting. If something comes up later in the week, I'll think about it. But for now, for me, it's like defenses, maybe some cheap options at receiver. Laviska's only 5K. DJ Chark's 5,800. Marvin Jones is 3,600 and sounds like he's going to be on the field quite a bit for Jacksonville. So initial optimizer runs had Marvin Jones in there quite a bit as a one-off, but not a game I'm looking to stack. Okay, Seattle, Indianapolis. So Seattle, we always know is a good team. Indianapolis should be improved with Carson Wentz. We have a 48.5 point total and a 2.5 point spread in favor of Seattle. So that's a pretty big total, 48.5. It's getting up there. Definitely not the biggest on slate. We're not over 50, but we got Seahawks are favored on the road. I hate playing West Coast teams going east. So we're talking about a team in Seattle that's going to Indianapolis. I know it's not all the way in the East Coast, but it's Eastern time zone at least. So it's a big time zone swing. I think it goes a little underrated. I think people are going to be fired up to stack this game. Indianapolis defense, like on their numbers look bad, but they played much better than that last year, if I recall. Yeah, on the site, like versus opponents, these numbers are inflated. But last year, Indianapolis's pass defense was ranked 20th, but they're the number 2 rush defense. That should show on this page. Well, it doesn't really show, but Seattle is super susceptible in the pass game. 31st ranked pass defense for Seattle. If this game turns into any bit of a shootout, I kind of want the Carson Wentz side of things. Carson Wentz is 5,600. It's a really cheap stack when you start talking about T.Y. Hilton's out. So Michael Pittman's probably the top receiver, followed by Paris Campbell. So it's a super cheap stack. You can run it back with Metcalf or Lockett or Carson, whatever you choose. I don't know if it's my favorite stack, but it's definitely in play, and I think it's going to be super under-owned. This is initial thoughts. Okay, move on to Jets, Carolina. And we have a line of 45 over under, 5.5 point favorite for Carolina. Darnold coming back to face his old team. This is other than Christian McCaffrey, this is probably a game I'm going to be staying away from. I love the talent in Carolina right now. Super cheap on Darnold and Wilson. You can get a pretty cheap game stack, but I think it gets ugly. Like Christian McCaffrey, no, he's gonna get his. There's I'd say 4 running backs in New York that could see the field. I'll just avoid all of them. I love DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. I don't know if they can hang up enough points on the Jets to get this done, especially at a 45-point total. And it seems like at 5.5, they're pretty well favored to win this game. Not much there. You could grab the Panthers defense 3,600 facing rookie Zach Wilson in his first start. If you want to pay up for defense, I think this is a good spot for it. I think the Panthers defense is going to be much improved from last year. And they really put a lot of pressure on Zach Wilson. Okay. We're quick on that game. I don't think there's much here. I don't think there's much here for fantasy-wise. I'm prepared to be dead wrong. I love Carolina's season-long outlook with Darnold, Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, Terrence Marshall Jr., but I don't know about this spot this week. Okay, Minnesota-Cincinnati. This is one of my favorite spots when I saw it on the slate. It is a 48-point over-under, and Vikings are favored by 3. I think the interesting thing here to look is everybody's been talking about Joe Burrow and this passing game. I think if Joe Burrow plays well, if Joe Burrow has a good season, this is the cheapest price we're going to get on Joe Burrow all year. And it's also the cheapest we're going to get on his receivers. We got Boyd, Chase, and Higgins all right around 5K. You can go Burrow in any 2 of those, and you got a pretty cheap stack to start. The other thing, Joe Mixon at 6,200 is very low. And I have Minnesota ranked as the 27th worst rush defense last year. Ranked 27th in rush defense. So they're also 25th in pass defense. I think this game has a very big potential to shoot out. Cincinnati not great either at defense last year. They had the 29th ranked rush defense, which makes Dalvin Cook at 9,100 look very interesting. The only thing hurting Dalvin Cook is Alvin Kamara being like $500 less, and also in a pretty good matchup against Green Bay. But this game has definite shootout potential. I'm just worried about my big worry in this game would be both teams starting to rely on the run game too much with Mixon and Cook going both ways and really taking the air out of the ball. Other than that, I think if we're looking at a Burrow stack, I like Burrow stack more than Cousins stack. It's a lot cheaper because if you go Cousins, Jefferson, and Thielen are both over 7K. It's gonna be hard, but you can definitely do a Burrow stack with 2 of his receivers and run it back with Jefferson or Thielen or even Cook. Just because pricing works out that way. So a game I'm going to be definitely targeting as we get later on this week. Okay, Arizona, Tennessee. I think this is the one that's going to draw the most attention on the main slate. We have a 52-point total and a 2.5-point favorite for Tennessee. I think people are going to be stacking this every which way. I think it's probably the most popular stack on the slate. I have Arizona had the 29th ranked pass defense last year, and Tennessee had the 10th ranked pass defense, but 22 rush. When you have a 52-point total and a 2.5-point spread, that's basically Vegas saying this is going to be a high-scoring, close game. That's usually a good sign for a shootout potential. Problem we have here is Kyler 7,600. I would much rather play Kyler than Tannehill. We have D. Henry at 8,800. I think I'd rather have the Tennessee passing game against this Cardinals defense, so that's an issue. No idea to pick between Edmonds and Connor. Hopkins is expensive. AJ Brown's expensive. Julio's picked up. Like, I don't think you can start a team. Let me just do a quick example. If you start a team with Tannehill, Brown, Julio, you're looking at 4,900 for the rest of your team. That pretty much rules out like getting Dalvin, CMC, those guys in your lineup, which is okay. There's gonna be a lot of value, but I think you're gonna leave a lot on the table. You don't have to do this stack, obviously, but you also can't really throw Derrick Henry into this team then. You go with the Kyler Murray side of it. You can talk to DeAndre Hopkins. I don't think I'd do a Kyler Murray team without stacking Hopkins. I could look at it later in the week, but I think with who else they have on their roster at receiver, I don't think I could do an Arizona stack with Kyler without Hopkins. So we're talking about like 76 and 7,800 for my first 2 players in the lineup. It gets rough, and then you have to bring him back with somebody from Tennessee, and you're talking another 7,000. or 8,800 if you do Henry. Henry at 8,800, even in this pretty good matchup against Arizona, I think is off my table without the receiving work. It's probably not gonna be for me, but I definitely think I want part of this game. I just really think it's gonna be way overowned. This is another thing. We have Arizona from the west traveling to the East Coast. I know Tennessee. You don't think Tennessee East Coast, but they're pretty far east. That's a West Coast time zone to East, something like that. So we'll see. I want to leave that on. Both these defenses are very cheap, though. If this game turns into a shootout, there's gonna be a ton of pass attempts, which means either team can just start throwing interceptions. Makes for big plays, makes for sacks, makes for interceptions. The more pass attempts, the better. Both the teams are super cheap. I can see the defenses being in play here. It's just like punt defenses. Okay. San Francisco, Detroit. I think we're expecting nothing out of Detroit this year, and the line for this first game really shows that. We have a 45-point total, so pretty low, but a 7-point favorite for the 49ers. No official word who's starting in San Francisco. It sounds like, I would assume at this point it's Garoppolo, but I'm also pretty convinced that Kyle Shanahan is insane enough to just like do that split quarterback thing. So Trey Lance has a chip on his finger. Sounds like it's a little bit more serious than they were first implying. So I don't think there's much here for this game. I think if anything, I'm targeting San Francisco running backs. Mostert's interesting. I think he gets the bulk of the work in the first game. I don't think they're going to let Trey Sermon loose right away. The rest of this is just not where I'm going. I'm avoiding Detroit here. I think Detroit's going to be awful on offense. If you're going to play Detroit, you have to go Swift or Hawkinson. They're a little overpriced for me. Tyrell at 4,400 is like the only playable piece here, I think. Probably the only playable piece for me is Tyrell at 4,400. It's not like he's going to be the clear number one there in the receiving core. It's probably Hawkinson then him, but it is an option. I think the main thing to take away from this game, though, is just going to be low scoring, probably an avoid. Okay. Pittsburgh Buffalo. This will be a fun game. We have a 47.5 point total. Buffalo favored 6.5. The good news here is Pittsburgh is going to be playing from behind. I think we can almost all assume that. I think we all think Buffalo's a better team. Should be able to win this game. That's what the sportsbook's saying as well at 6.5. But if Big Ben has to come out and start slinging the ball around, I'm pretty interested. I think one thing I'm super interested in is Bills defense at 2,500. Big Ben just slinging the ball around sounds like a perfect time for him to get sacked, throw interceptions. So Bills defense I'm definitely going to be in on at 2,500. That's an absurd price for a team that's expected to win by 6.5. Receivers, Buffalo, you have Diggs and a bunch of guys that I have no idea what they're going to play. Beasley, Sanders, Gabe Davis, McKenzie. Like I don't know what their rotation is after Diggs, but any one of them could see the field at any point. So the stack becomes really expensive if you go Allen, Diggs. I don't think this game's going to get a lot of exposure, though. I think it's going to be very under-owned for a game with a 47.5 point total. It's going to be interesting to see where ownership shakes out as the week goes on. I think that'll determine my interest in this game. Okay. Last noon game. Chargers at Washington football team. I'll get it right one day. We have a 1 point spread, 44.5 point total. This is interesting considering I think both offenses here are pretty good, but this is like the prime example of a West Coast team coming to the East Coast. LA Chargers are a good team when they're fully healthy, and they're fully healthy for week one. So them being only a 1 point favorite against the Washington football team is a little concerning to me, personally. I think they are significantly better than Washington. So that line is scaring me, seeing that. Herbert at 6,700, if he's anywhere close to where he was last year, that's too low priced. We got Fitzpatrick. He's going to be just slinging the ball around like Fitzpatrick usually does. Eckler's pretty low priced. Gibson's really low priced. Like think about like season long best ball. Gibson and Eckler are both like, they were both being drafted around like end of the first round, beginning of the second round. And we have Gibson at 5,900, Eckler at 7,000. Granted, both of these teams have pretty good defenses. I think Chargers are going to be much improved. now they're fully healthy. And that's really what the line's saying here. 1 point game, 44.5 over under. There's not a lot going on. Both these offenses are good though. So it could easily turn around and be a shootout. Diami Brown is 3K as well. Sounds like he's been super impressive in camp. Gonna see the field, just earned his spot on the field. So he's 3K. That's interesting. But this will be an ownership thing as well. Chargers defense at 3,100 I think is probably one of the best plays. Fitzpatrick's been known to sling the ball around and not really have any regard of where it's going. So that is that game. That wraps up the 12 o'clock games. I'm in Central Time, so 12 o'clock games. And we're going to move on to the 3 o'clock games. Second half of the main slate. Kicks off with Cleveland, Kansas City. We have the biggest total of the slate at 5,300. At 53, not 5,300. 53. Chiefs are a 6-point favorite. I can almost predict how this game is going to go from a DFS perspective, and it's going to be at the end of the day on Monday, or after the slate's over on Sunday night. We're going to be like, wasn't Patrick Mahomes just the obvious play? Wasn't just Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Kelsey the obvious play? Okay, so these are probably two of Chiefs are the Super Bowl favorite, I think, especially in the AFC. Browns are up there as well. Both these teams are good. At a 53-point total, I don't see how you don't get a big chunk of this game. I don't see how Mahomes should be the most owned quarterback for the slate. I don't think he's going to be. I think if you're in situations where like just some negative stuff comes out about Mahomes all week, he's expensive, there's so much good value at quarterback this week, I think we'll see how the ownership shakes out. I think if he ends up around 10%, that's too low, and I'll be over that. You can run it back on with anybody on Cleveland, Chubb, Hunt, Beckham. Landry. Beckham should not be 5,400 if he's a full go, which I believe he will be. So that's what I thought in that game. This game's gonna be. I suspect it's gonna be under-owned, but it's gonna look like it's over-owned. If that makes any sense. I think as the week goes on, people are gonna find reasons to not play this game instead of to play this game. Okay. Denver, New York Giants. This game looks awful. We have a 42 over-under and a 3-point favorite for Denver. I'm staying away from everybody in this game. The Giants are hurt already. Like, everybody on the team's hurt, it sounds like. Daniel Jones is going to start. 4,800 Teddy Bridgewater, though, is interesting. They didn't know who the starter was going to be, so they both got priced down. Teddy's starting. Saquon, I hear every other day is different right now. Doing a full go. He's not quite ready, so I'm just unless we get a confirmation somewhere, I'm just staying away. Honestly, in a what I think will be an ugly game and a 42-point total, there isn't anybody in this game I'm playing. I don't think Evan Ingram's gonna miss the game. I don't think that makes Kyle Rudolph a play though. Denver stack would be super cheap with Sutton and Judy, but I don't see this game getting any ownership, and for good reason. Okay. Green Bay, New Orleans. 50 over under, 4-point favorite for Green Bay. Which is interesting, because I think Green Bay is quite a bit better than the Saints without Drew Brees anymore. We know Winston's starting, so his price is pretty down, because when these prices came out, they didn't know if it was going to be Winston or Taysom Hill. You can see Jordan Love's price up, because I don't think when these prices came out, it was confirmed Rodgers is starting. It was expected, but that's what we got. So, Kamara's 8,600. I'm gonna show all the running backs here. That's interesting. It makes him the 4th highest running back. Puts McCaffrey and Cook like 500, 1,000, and 500 more respectively, and puts him just a little bit less than Henry. On a full PPR site like DraftKings, Kamara is definitely in a good spot here. With Jameis at quarterback, he's not going to be stealing any of the rushing attempts from him. Sounds like the team kind of hates Latavius Murray right now, so the backup's kind of like Tony Jones. I think Kamara's going to be super high owned because of this. but I also think he's going to be a really good play. I don't know how to get away from it other than going up to Cook or Kamara or Cook or McCaffrey. Packers pass game is in play here as well. Saints have a pretty good defense, but I think the problem is the Saints offense is going to be significantly worse than they were last year. Outside of Kamara, I think Winston, without Michael Thomas, Drew Brees you're downgrading from Drew Brees to Winston. But a 50-point over/under, you can't be. Just avoid this game. So we gotta find which pieces of New Orleans you like. I like Traquan Smith. We have Marquez Callaway's 3,400. Sounds like he's great. All the news I get from him, like a Winston Callaway Kamara stack's interesting. And running back with Devontae Adams. You can pretty much do whatever you want from there. We go Winston, Kamara, Callaway, Devontae Adams. Leaves you 4,900 to fill out the rest of your roster. And with some really good cheap defenses, and you can kind of do like a punt tight end, got options. But a 50 point total we're definitely interested in. Okay. Last game on the main slate. New England and Miami. This is a 44-point over/under. Patriots are a 3-point favorite. All this. Okay. Cam's out. Cam's out in New England. When these salaries came out, Cam was going to be the starter. So we got Mac Jones starting the game at 4,400. This is the lowest we'll see a quarterback all year starting, likely, unless there's like some weird COVID stuff. So people are going to want to play Mac Jones and pay up everywhere else. So who are you going to play him with? Probably Jacoby Myers, 5,100. Aguilar, 45. Kendrick Bourne, 44. For all options. I like James White at 4,400. But my problem with this game is you have insane value. Obviously, Mac Jones. I like the Miami side of the ball, but New England has pretty good defense. So my problem is we have a 44-point over/under. I think in a GPP, there's just not going to be enough points scored in this game to justify the prices. I think this is what's going to pull people away from Mahomes and the Chiefs stack, and I'd rather bet on the Chiefs than bet on Mac Jones. I think that makes a lot of sense. If at any point I see that like a ton of ownership's going this way, I'm looking at the Chiefs ownership and see what happens. If the Chiefs ownership starts dipping throughout the week, which is what I think will happen, I'm gonna be so heavy on the Chiefs in week 1 that if they win, I win. Okay. That is the main slate. We have 2 more games just to go over quick. So we're going to kick off with the Sunday night game. Chicago Bears, LA Rams. 44-point over/under, 7.5-point favorite for the Rams. I mean, if you're playing the full week, you're not touching this game. Maybe a little bit of Darrell Henderson at 5,600. But like that's about it. Sony Michel at 48 maybe. Pick and choose from the Rams passing game. Bears are awful. They're starting Andy Dalton. Rams defense is really good. I literally think they're just starting Andy Dalton so that Justin Fields doesn't get rattled in his first career start, and he's coming in week 2. He might come in the end of this game. I'll be playing this from a showdown perspective. I had a video on the Sunday night showdown, probably Sunday sometime, of what I think of the showdown slate for these 2 teams. But from if you're playing a full week, I'm just not doing this. I'll find better ways to spend my money. All right, and Monday night, quick touch on this. 51-point total. Wish this was on the main slate. We have Ravens, Raiders. Showdown will be interesting. Because I think the Ravens running back situation is just getting awful. But other than that, I guess the news today is Justice Hill, a torn Achilles, is out for the year. That happened last week on Thursday. Nobody reported it until today. So they might have Le'Veon Bell by the time this game starts on the team. But it sounds like Gus Edwards and Tyson Williams are barely gonna be the only guys on the team that know the plays in the backfield. Which doesn't really matter because the best running back on the team is Lamar Jackson. Yeah, this is gonna be a sweet showdown slate, I think. I like the Raiders too. The Raiders are bringing back essentially the same team, which wasn't very good. But I'd like to think they got better over a year. You get Derek Carr, Henry Ruggs, second-year breakout candidate. I've been on. If the reports out of camp are true, Brian Edwards is Terrell Owens. So, who knows, man? Who knows? Josh Jacobs only 5,800. But Baltimore defense is pretty good. I'm surprised the spread on this is only 4. Seems like it should be more in favor of Baltimore to me. But a high total, fun Monday night game to start the season. That's where we'll wrap it up. Okay, that's a quick overview of every game this week. If you watch the video, like the content, leave a comment, hit the like button, hit subscribe. We're gonna try to do like a video like every day for the week. This not only helps me create content, but helps me get organized for the week. Like I'm already seeing things that I like, kind of sharing my first thoughts. So let me know what you think for week 1. I think I'm gonna have a problem getting away from the Chiefs Browns game, and I'm hoping that it's just not incredibly owned. So that's my initial thoughts, and we are out here. Thanks.